has been a work in progress, and I have to thank everybody that on the CREC side and the SDE side for putting this together, and then everybody that comes and gives all their wonderful ideas. It's really a great place. So I was so excited when I was asked to ask Julia Horne to come up today. I'm fairly new in the district. I'm coming up on 7 years, but Julia's been involved in education for more than 45 years.
I'm old.
Starting off in North Carolina, you didn't quite put together on the write-up all those questions I was asking you.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Has taught every grade. Decided that she really liked 6th grade students, but not 7th and 8th, right? Did I get that one right?
Some of the 8th grade girls, they're a little bit different.
Yeah.
But all kids are great.
Exactly. So she has been a principal at our Shelter Rock School for 20 years, and she just retired this past year. And so a couple quotes from her teachers. She fights for students that have no one to fight for them. Came from one of your Shelter Rock teachers, as well as another one that Shelter Rock School is Julia. And so they're going through some transformations right now with their new principal, but good things. In 2014, the Shelter Rock School was named the CONCAM Success Story for academic progress while having a school with a heightened minority and dual language learner population, and also 100% parent participation. And I hope Julia knows this because I couldn't get the superintendent to answer me last night, but Julia is the 2015 recipient.
Oh, yeah.
You know that, good,
Yeah.
okay. Heart of a Woman Award given out by our Danbury Business Council.
Thank you.
Exciting. And it recognizes women who have made a difference, inspired others, and forever positively impacted the lives of others. So I'd like to welcome Julia and turn her over to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to put this right here. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you all today. And I wanted to thank Ann and Judy for inviting me. And they were telling me that she had said earlier that they don't meet in a school or something more institutionalized, but they like to meet in places where there's creativity, ingenuity. And so therefore, I'm hoping that I will be able to impart with you some things that you have maybe not done before in your schools that would promote family partnerships. We did have a PowerPoint, but it didn't work out, so thank goodness I did make some copies for you all to use and we can follow along. So I think Ann is passing those out now. So it's really parental engagements and promoting family partnerships. And as we said, I'm going to try to hit on about 4 things with you today, only for about 20 minutes to give you an idea of some of the things that we have done at Shelter Rock, and we have found a lot of success with them. First one is the family literacy parties. Next is student-led conferences, retention and grade summer special, and college to career initiatives. So those are the things that we'll be discussing today with you. And the first thing we say, it's all about relationships. And all of you, you've been here, and I looked at your poster, so we know in order to engage families in a positive way, it's really how we treat them when they come into the building. Do they feel welcome? And it's starting with your secretary. And also the custodian, how they are treating the parents. And don't forget the people who are in the cafeteria. How do they treat the kids when they're coming through the lines? They don't have money, they don't have this, but they still should be treated with respect. And it doesn't matter what nationality, ethnic group a parent is from, we still give them that respect. I call them Mr., I call them Mrs., and I never try to talk down to them because I want that partnership with them. So it's all about relationships. If you can get that going, that's half the battle. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about was our family literacy parties. Many years at Shelter Rock, we would always have these fantastic programs we've had planned for parents, but they wouldn't show up. It seems to me the ones who would come, the ones whose children, they were doing well. And I said, they was good that they came, but how do we target those other ones? So anyway, I was speaking with a person in Danbury, and she gave me an idea. She said she read something out in Oregon that the schools would go out to the homes and give books. And I said, well, I just can't just do that. I have to do something else. I just can't just go out and give books. So what we did is we created a program, family literacy program, family literacy parties, and it's based on, they call it the Tupperware party, Pampered Chef, and it's really any type of direct sales initiative, and that's what we did. So I started with grades 2 and 3, and we had parents to decide that yes, they would have a party, and we would go, and I developed a little agenda, and we just talked about school. And actually what I was doing is I was selling literacy, the reading, and I also was selling Shelter Rock School. And that was the time when we had NCLB. I never even mentioned No Child Left Behind. The only thing that I wanted to just create a place where we can empower parents to work with their children, and the children can be inspired to help each other with building community. So I do have an article here that was done. I started in 2004, and these are the book parties, and I can pass this around. These children here, they're in college now. One little boy here, he's majoring in physics. And here, if you would look at your agenda too, you can see how they look in the home. Not in color, but you can see the students there. They're sitting there on the floor, and the parents are usually seated in the chairs around, and I'm talking to them. And it's such a wonderful experience because during the family literacy party, I usually read a book. And I try to demonstrate what the teachers do and what the children are expected to know and learn from a book. And when I ask a question, they can see who can answer the questions and who can't. Also, another thing that we did in the parties, if you look on the back page, you will see a DRA chart of your, here it is, it's in color. And what I would do is have the student's name and their DRA level, because we did DRA, and I would give it to the parents privately so they can see where their child is. And I would say if your child is here, they're in the red, they're below grade level. If they're in the yellow, they're in proficiency, so we have to watch them because we want them to go up. And if they're in green, they're at gold, but we want them to stay there. But I also gave them information as to how to help their children. This don't have my PowerPoint, so. Anyway, this was an eye-opener for the parents. And they really saw how their children were at school. And the first time we started it, I really did it with a lot of parents who did not speak English and their children were ELL learners. And I would ask them, I said, why don't you all come to our events? They said, because we don't understand what you're saying. I said, well, we can fix that. So I ordered personal PAs for our school, and every time we had a big event, I would always have an interpreter. Like our PTO meetings, we have an interpreter. Anytime a big assembly program, we would have interpreters. So therefore, everybody had the gift of language, and if everybody was laughing, the grandparents were laughing, the aunts and uncles, they were laughing too, because they could really understand what was being said. So that was a big change for our population. And here you can see that these are just parents, and they had a little gift for them. It's anybody who's gone to these parties, you know how they work, and we have a little gift for the parents. And the family who hosted the party, we gave them $200 worth of books, age-appropriate books for their children. And that encouraged them to read.
How did you fund that?
Title I. Mm-hmm. And this whole program only cost about $2,000 a year. And here you can see my parent liaison. This was Jessie. She was the one who did the work for me. She would contact the parents. She would go out. The parents didn't have to do anything but just open their door. We brought the food and everything, but some parents say, no, I don't want you to bring anything. I want to have a party, and I want to provide food. And they would, and I tell you, it was just a party atmosphere. The children were so excited knowing that I was coming to their house, and then the family. And at one time I started, I just was going to target certain students, but then parents found out and said, well, when are you coming to my house? When can I go? I said, okay, so I did everybody. So the first year, 2004, I did 10 parties. The smallest we had was about 4 people, and the largest were about 30 in a house.
In a house?
Mm-hmm. And they were all gathered, and the beauty of it is because sometimes they would bring their children who were younger, who hadn't even gone to school. And one, if you look at that picture, one student was even older than some of the other students who were there. But it was beautiful too, because he would tell the parents about what they have to do, and they tell the other students, this is what we're doing now, this is why you need to know this. So it was a way to empower parents. Another thing, kids were going to bed at 11 and 12 o'clock at night. So we would tell them that they should be in bed at 7:30. They said, I told you. So therefore, we were there, and we really empowered that parent to be sure that their children were in bed at a good time so they can come to school ready to learn. So we got a lot of I guess, it was a big bang for us because our student achievement went up significantly. Our ELL population, they started to reach goal on CMTs. Our parents were involved. And sometimes Jessie, also what I would do is they really connected with her because she spoke 3 languages. And anytime a parent would have a question, they could call her. And also, if they wanted her to go out to their house to help set up their house, to help have a place for them to study or whatever, she could do that. She wasn't tutoring unless they would pay her. She didn't tutor, but she would go out and assist them. So she became so familiar at our school that anytime they would come out, they would say, where's Jessie? Because they were looking for her. And she was such a wonderful person, so dependable. She did the gifts for me. And she wrapped the books really nicely to make a nice presentation to the parents. It was just a wonderful experience. And from that, I tell you, we got a lot of bang for our buck with that program. And I think that was our flagship program that really soared and really made our academic program soar. And of course, I want to be informal here. If you have questions, concerns, reflections while I'm doing this, please feel free. Okay? The next thing we did was student-led conferences. Ever since I have been at Shelter Rock School, we have had 100% of our parents coming out for parent conferences in November. 100% for the last 20 years. So then we started to say, okay, we want our children to come to the conferences with the parents because children need to hear what their teacher is saying, and it doesn't have to be translated by a parent because the child really, they want to please, and they really want to know what the teacher is saying, something positive about them. So around about 7 years ago, I presented student-led conferences to the 5th grade staff. I had done the research. I had everything laid out for them. And I asked, do you think this is something you would like to do? And I started that conversation with them in April. And they were going to be getting ready for it in November. And they said, sure, they would do that. So they gave all the information to the students, and they had to talk about their strengths. They had to talk about things that they needed to grow in. They set goals for themselves. They also talked about their social emotional growth. And they had done it on a form. The first year that we did it, we had we called it Snowtober, when it snowed in October. Yeah. And I said, oh my goodness, and we were out that week, and the following week was parent conferences. So when we went back to school, I went down to talk to my staff, and I said, do you think you really want to do it? Because you really didn't have a chance to talk to the talk to the children about it. So they said, no, we want to do it. We don't want it because the children are so excited. I said, they do? She said, yes. So anyway, I did observe, and I tell you, I was crying because those students did such a fabulous job talking about how how they were academically and talked to some of the parents about how they could help them at home and what else they needed to do in order to be successful. And what had happened is they owned it. They were accountable for their learning. And the parents were just in awe to hear that these fifth graders could actually have a conversation with their parents about their academic progress. So after we did that for a couple of years, we did it in grade 4 and we did it in grade 3. And I also had my staff, I wanted it to continue, so I had my staff to do a little presentation to everybody else because student-led conferences can be done in grade K. But they could, you have to just slim it down or streamline it, but it can be done. So at this point, it's only 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So I left, I'm not there anymore, so I don't know if anybody else is going to be doing it in the lower grades. But it was it's powerful, and when I heard the students talking about themselves, and I said, I don't have to worry about them taking a test because they got this. They owned it. They owned it, and it is such a powerful initiative. Now, the next thing I wanted to share with you is called Retention in Grade Summer Special. All the time we have some students who feel that they are just not doing their best, and we have to talk to the parents about them being retained in grade. It's repeating a grade. I really hate that. I don't like for students to be retained in grades when you know they have the ability, but they really are just not doing what they're supposed to do as far as the academic work. They're maybe not motivated enough or whatever, or maybe some other issues are in the way that they are not progressing as how we feel that they should. Anyway, I talked to the staff about it and I said, do you think the child has good ability? They said, yes. They have ability, but they're just not doing it. I said, let's call the parents in and talk to them about it. So I go back to the chart again. We have this for every grade level, where they are in September, January, and May, if they are goal, proficiency, or below grade level. And I talk to the parents about this, and they get this chart, as they do in our family literacy parties. And we say, we've been working with your child, and here we are, May and June, and we're not where we want to be. But we're not going to say school is open in June. It's over in June. School has not ended because you still have July and August. So what we want to do is give you a homeschool curriculum for the summer. And if we look at the chart, this is where your child is now. If your child can be at this level, when they come in September, they'll go to the next grade. So we plan it out. And usually when they come back in September, we were doing the DRA. Some of you probably have some other type of assessment that you use. It doesn't matter. Whatever assessment you're using is fine. But we said when they come back in September, the first thing we would do is we would test your child to see if they have made it. We have had so much success with that. The parents get involved, they get tutors, and we say it's only 30 minutes a day that you have to do it every day consistently. We explain it, we do the whole lesson plan for them, we give them the materials and everything that they have to do for the entire summer. And I tell you, it works. It's rare that we have to keep anybody back. So after a while, it became fondly known as the summer special. That is why it is called the summer special. Okay? And one last thing I wanted to share with you that I think may be a little unique is college to career. Well, we know that's what the Common Core is always stating, but I always felt that's what school was about anyway, that you want to, go to school. If you choose to go to an institution of higher learning, do so, and be sure you have some type of career so you can be a productive citizen. I always felt that is what education was about. Anyway, as we had a lot of work with parents coming in over time, and anytime you have a child, and my teachers were so good about noticing things that just weren't, that were a little different about children. And we said if something is different and something, behavior is different, we know something else is going on at home, we would get the parent in and we would talk to them about it. And many times we would ask the parent, how do you see your child when they're 21 and 22 years old? They look up in the sky trying to find the answer. So I was talking to my staff about this, and I said, we have to do something with that mindset. We have to change a parent's mindset about what they want to do in the future and what education is about. So what we talked about, I said, why not let's talk about college? Because we talked to parents, and I said, have you ever talked about your child going to college when they're in kindergarten, first grade? They said they're too young. I said, they're not too young. If we can start changing that time, that mindset at that time. So I got my PTO involved, and therefore she wrote a lot of colleges all over the United States, and they got pennants. And we have these pennants in our school. They're displayed there. And these are the banners displayed in different colleges and universities throughout the United States and any other place that we could get them. And when the teachers were placing them, putting them up, a little kindergarten said, Western Connecticut State University, that's where my mother goes. I said, great, and you can go there, and you can go to any other school that you would like. So anyway, it was just the beginning that we had thought about this, but I'm not there now, but this was the plan. I'm not sure if it's going to be implemented or not, but what we wanted to do, the follow up with this, is to have a college day at school where everybody, custodians, cafeteria workers, teachers, would wear some type of t-shirt or sweatshirt with the college, and the children too, the students too. Huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the students too. And you can do so much with that initiative because every grade level for that day, you can talk about a college. But not only going to college, but what skill level? What do you want to be when you grow up? We know they're going to change 20 or 30 times before they graduate from high school, and that's okay. But what skill level do you think you need for that job? What do you need to do now in grades K, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for you to be ready to do that career? A lot of them want to be football players. You just don't go out there and play football. You have to study. You have to read. You have to think. And they don't know this. So therefore, this is what we wanted to do, but I'm not there. And I'm hoping that that initiative will continue because there's so much that we can do with our students early on so that they can get a mindset of what they would like their future to be. So basically, those were the 4 things that I wanted to share with you, and I'm hoping that some of them were a little unique and things that you hadn't heard of. And if you have any questions or comments or reflections, I'm ready. Yes?
I have a question. How did you recruit host families to do families?
Just ask. Mm-hmm.
What
Okay, I called them, I knew a lot of them, and I just said, you want to host a family? You want to host a party? They'll say, yeah. I was shocked myself. They said, yes. And at one time, I felt that they didn't want me, and I wasn't going to go, but then I felt that it was crucial that I would be there, because when they heard that I was there, everybody came. Yes?
Did anyone else besides you host the parties? Like, not host, but did you have any other speakers, like some of your teachers?
No, yeah, some of the teachers came out because they wanted to see it themselves. Now, some things my ELL parents told me. They said, Miss Horne, my students don't get any homework. I said, okay, we'll fix that. and it was true. They weren't getting the homework everybody else was getting. And so that changed. And then after that, I also said, read the memos that we're getting. We can't send everything out in another language. But I have a secretary who's wonderful. She speaks 4 different languages. I said, call the school and we can tell you what the memos say. After that, you would not believe how many parents just started coming into the school. They hugged me, I hugged them and everything. And also I said, I tried to empower them. I said, if you want to talk to a teacher, some of them may be afraid. I said, I'll go with you and I'll support you. And we can, rectify your situation if you have one. But I said, you don't have to come in yelling and screaming. We don't have to do that. We can do it in a nice, mild, gentle way, but we can the goal is to work with your child, and your child can reach his or her potential, and that is what we can do. So some teachers did go out because they wanted to see what it was about, and they really liked it. And they saw the results in the classroom too, because I would talk to them too. What are you seeing? They're doing better. And also what we did, we built community, because I was telling the students, help each other. If you see a child who's not getting their homework done, talk to them about it. Ask them, do they need help? Build community, because we're in it together and we want everybody to succeed. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the summer special, do you not have early start or summer school?
They can go to summer school too.
So they did have that as an option as well.
Yeah, but that wasn't the only thing they had to do. They still had to do that packet.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And another thing, sometimes parents are working, but a lot of times these parents have children who go to daycare or some preschool. I said, if you don't have the time, tell your preschool to do it. That's what you're paying them for. And you know, yes.
I know you engage the families to do these parties. How do you engage, or it was just party in general, to engage the families who have a special needs kid in your school? Because I'm talking about people who maybe children who are taking medication, or you know.
Well, if they're taking medication, they should be fine.
Well,
so
usually they are, you know, like they don't really engage with other parents if they don't have a special needs kid there. They usually have their own group sometimes. So I don't know if it was general.
It was all general, and I didn't try to separate anybody or specify. Everybody was included, and I felt that if we had one good strategy, hopefully it would work for a lot of the students. And if they had any special needs students and they needed special services, all they had to do was speak with me about it, and we'll see what we could do to address that. But being in a home and in a closed setting, it was very comfortable. Parents started to talk. I had my translator there. She was there, and it was a mild and respectful atmosphere, I would say, and people felt good about being there. And some people went to every party that I had that first year. We had 10. The same ones came every year. Every time we had one, I couldn't believe it. They just liked it, and so. But over the years, I would say that we have connected with more than 500 or 600 families. Mm-hmm. So if you do 10 parties a year, you have all those people there, and it just adds up over time. And it's amazing too, because it's just the residual results that it continued and continued. And it just got out that this was a school where we welcomed parents. We wanted you there. And we expected for the students to do their work. The students had to be accountable, and we held them accountable for their work. Mm-hmm.
Did you find the families that started to come to these parties then did come into the school and come to other events?
Oh my goodness,
and
yes.
Previously they didn't.
Right, they didn't, but they came in wholeheartedly, and they were always there supporting.
Right.
And for field trips, started going on field trips.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They felt welcomed. They felt a part of the school. Yes.
So it sounds to me, obviously, you had a great personal relationship with these families.
I developed one.
Did you have some pushback from some of the staff and administrators about developing that kind of relationship?
Absolutely
I'm
not.
sure some of them would have said, well, hugging is not in my job description, hugging parents.
Mm-hmm.
How did you?
Well, it's just my personality, and I never had a problem with now, as far as some of the teachers, when I told them, I said, we're going to have all of our parents to come in for our parent conferences to get 100%, some of them didn't believe it, because some of them felt that they've had parents there for years and they never have come. I said, parents love their children. They will come. I said, work with me, and we're going to put in this little process. And sure enough, it took me about 2 or 3 weeks to get one family in, but everybody came. And so the teachers believed it. They believed it would work. I said, parents love their children. And I'll tell you a story, too. One family they said they never came. The oldest boy was in special ed, and she had 2 other boys. So anyway, the family started coming in. I started to know who they were. And one day I was at school, about 2 or 3 years later, I was at school late. And I saw this parent rush in. And I said, oh, hi. I said, how are you doing? What you doing? She said, oh, I have a meeting. I said, okay. I said, who do you have a meeting with? And she was telling me, she says, I'm here for my parent conference. I said, oh, it's 2 weeks away. She was early. And those other 2 boys of hers, all of them went to college, and she did too. She went, and they did fine. So it was just a matter of believing in them, getting in there, and they built that trust. And it's just like I said, it's about relationships. I feel that I'm just, what you see is what you get with me. And I try to make them feel comfortable. I don't try to talk down to them. When we're talking to them, I want them as a partner with me, and I ask them, what can we do better at Shelter Rock? What is it that you like about our school? What is it that you don't like? How can we improve? And I tried to let them have a voice, and I listened to what they said, and I tried to go back and make a change and make a difference. And I would follow up with them. They said they didn't have any homework. I said, are they getting homework now? Yes, they are. I said, good. They're getting the homework now. And I will follow up with my teachers too. Also, when you're building relationships with parents, you have to work with your staff. And because sometimes staff, they're afraid of parents. Maybe it's, I don't know why. Maybe, I really don't know why. But I have to talk to them about that and say, this is what our goal is. This is what our vision is. And it became a shared vision.
I have the answer.
Yes.
So I just had this epiphany yesterday. Our staff, I don't mean to air dirty laundry, they're shell-shocked because the secretary said to me that parents come in and they yell and they scream and they think that their child is the only child in the world and that it's getting worse. I don't know, is anyone else experiencing that?
Parents coming in yelling?
Yeah.
Why?
Whether it's transportation, whether it's they're feeling there's lack of services, the staff they're afraid. Lawsuits.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No one else is getting this?
I've seen it.
You see it?
Not in Connecticut, I've seen it.
Yes.
What she's saying, I've seen it because I work in the school district and I work in many different schools in Norwich.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there for 5 years and worked in like 8 different schools. So my mindset about that, like educators or everyone who works in the school system, we have to see ourselves as, in a business perspective. For example, the customer's always right.
That's right.
That's what I always say. So if a customer goes into Walmart and starts screaming, Walmart does not pick up their stores and leave. They still want the sales. They still want to make it better. So,
True.
Obviously, there's a problem. People don't just yell.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it might not have anything to do with school, it might be something at home. So
Right.
we have to put that in our mind and what we can do to help the situation.
Exactly.
But I had one question I wanted to ask you. I know you talked about the conferences, student-led conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that time was an issue? Because some of the school where a teacher might have like 5 minutes with each parent, so and a student might take longer to elaborate or to explain what's going on in the classroom. So
Well, in Danbury, we have 20-minute conferences. So therefore, it was enough time for the students to speak with the parents. Now, sometimes when you look at the research, some people feel that they don't like it because they really would like to speak with the teacher too. They want to hear something from the teacher, but we also give time for the teachers to speak with the parents. So therefore, everybody will have that exchange and interaction. So no, it hasn't been a problem. Now, if someone, going back to your concern, if people are coming in yelling, I would say it's not personal. Come in, let's talk about it. What is going on? They could be in a crisis situation or whatever, and maybe they have talked to a lot of people, but they are not being heard. So therefore, if we can extend an ear and try to give them the services that they need and try to support them, usually it works out. Usually. If we have 99% of our parents did okay. We always have some parents that I just don't have that much success with, but it's because they have a lot of other issues that we cannot deal with, and it just is not working out. But for the most part, if we can hear them, listen to them, be concerned, and be supportive, I think they can come around. Yes.
This is something that they started doing recently at New Britain High School, is that every homeroom teacher who has, a class of 25 or within the first 2 weeks of
that we have in this group. So please do make a point of connecting with other people who have interesting things. I'm gonna
a card
ask.
saying, how do you like to be contacted best?
Mm-hmm.
And so that, and the reactions of parents saying, all right, what did Jessica do now?
Exactly.
But wait, you just called to tell me that Jessica's, bright and engaged in the morning when you see her, or you're so glad she's coming to school every day. Made a real difference for a lot of parents who were only hearing from the school if there was something negative.
Exactly.
Not hearing from the school at all.
Right.
And I don't live in New Britain, I live in Clinton, and it was really interesting. I had sort of the same reaction when I got an email from my daughter's 4th grade teacher. I thought, oh God, what's she doing now? It just said Chloe's progress, and I was like, oh boy. And I read it, and it was just a nice, so glad to have her in my class. She's adjusting well to the new school. And it just, if I were reticent about engaging with the new teacher, it was her reaching out to me.
Exactly. It's all about relationships.
Some place to start.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
If we go back to the parties, I can imagine the networking with those parents.
Yes.
With the people, with the kids, even their neighbors who may not even go to that school, talking to them and about what was going on and
Right.
the strategy maybe that was talked about, or the book was a really good book. So I think you might have hit more than 500.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I hope. Passing on great things. Yes.
I feel that policies that are in place in districts and in schools, they go home to the parents, but many parents don't read them, because at the time they go home, they're not affected by the issue with their child. It could be busing, it could be anything. And when they're coming in upset about a situation, it's usually about a policy within the district or the school that they disagree with, and they desperately want to change it, and they may have a number of reasons for it, and that's just human nature, and good customer service is so important, and a lot of the parents are really irate, and it's hard to take, but very often when they are at that point, it's because something has affected them to change their life, and they're desperate, and they're in crisis.
So true. Yes.
I just want to thank you for your very simplistic and direct approach to what you told us today, and especially like when you talked about the book parties and when you said you went into the homes, you just said you did a couple things like modeled reading, gave them books. Where sometimes I think, like I see us sometimes doing these literacy nights and events, and we just give so much stuff and just so many words and so many printouts that I think we overwhelm us. And so thank you for like rebooting me that we got to keep it simple.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to say about the parents and making that initial contact with the families from the teachers is a wonderful piece. At the same time, we're talking about dual capacity and building the capacity of our parents. Sometimes they think when the kids start school in August or September that their only contact is in November with this parent-teacher conference. So they have a lot of time if they have some anxiety or concerns or worries for that to build.
Right.
And to explode potentially. But the same way as the teacher is sending that positive that communication, the parents can do the same thing. And we need to encourage that. Shoot an email, leave a phone message just saying, hi, I'm so-and-so's parent, and I'm looking forward to our year together. Because I think we need to build it, again, on both sides.
Definitely.
Support our parents saying, that is okay, and actually you should do that.
Exactly.
You know?
Thank you.
If there aren't any more, one more question and then we'll give you a chance to talk. Yeah.
My brain is doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm really fascinated. I've heard before the student-led conference. So willing to do the in-home parties. I mean, Victoria, we could go and do, Albanian parties just in Greece. You can translate for me. They need a bigger staff. But we're in a middle school. So in my mind, I know how elementary school kind of works, and you have your teacher and they have their students. We're in middle school, I have a teacher who has 120 students. So you may not be able to answer this right now, but if you could think about it for me, how would we then work that when we have the group as a team and then those 120 students? You get what I'm saying?
I understand. What I would do, I think what I would do is I would look at the data. Look at your data. And look at some of the students that you really would like to see. Okay, I looked at this chart. Look at the students who are in the yellow. And maybe the students who are really at top of the yellow, who can really get to gold. Look at your students who are at the low grade level. Look what their scores are. Can they move up to proficiency? That would be your target group. Or are they boys? Or are they girls? Look at your data. Your data is the one, and you can pinpoint them, and you get your baseline. And have your data to show, okay, if we work with these students, look at where they are now. Engage the parents. And then you can prove to people that it's working. And you can continue your effort, and hopefully other people will join you.
Another suggestion I would make to you is, because you have 3 houses at West Side, which house administrator would be willing to work with you? So
It's so important to get the principal.
There's so many T's, you know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
Where are you going to get buy-in? Which
And
staff
support.
is going to buy in with you as well?
Yeah. Some of the research, if you look at it for high school, because we're all technical high schools, is that they put the core teachers in a room, and they do 4 to 5 families in the room at separate tables. The kids present to the parents, the teachers walk around, they're available to answer a question, but the thing is led by the student.
Great.
So it usually lasts about, they say, between 5 and 8 minutes of, a group. And they bring in another 100.
Job. You did a fabulous job. Oh my
Thank you.
gosh. I would follow Miss Julia anywhere. Right? Talk about inspired. So what we talk about a lot of times, I think you said it, we're just coming to this whole idea of dual capacity. You practiced it. And my aha moment in terms of what you talked about was when people were, how did you get people? And you said, just ask. So it's the just ask, but it's also your continued, you never gave up.
No, I would not give up.
You never give up, you just believed it.
If you believe it, you can achieve it. If you got a vision, you keep it, and it became a shared vision, and we worked it.
So I know that you have tons of ideas percolating right now, right? They're probably just all in your brain. I want to give you the chance to talk now, all right? This is part of our kind of networking. So if you could just think about the relationship piece, but then the actual action piece. And what I want to challenge you to think about is the relationship piece is incredibly important, right?
Definitely.
That's where you capture imagination, right?
Yeah.
And that's where people
builds
begin
trust.
to trust you. But then I think what Miss Julia did was then, she then took all of the next steps to make sure that there was, definite steps toward student achievement.
Definitely.
Right? So that whole piece. So think about the things that maybe you are doing, but what I would challenge you right now is to think about the new ideas that we just had today. What's possible, right? What's possible? And I think there are a lot of things that are possible. This is not
Rocket science.
It's
not.
Right? This is not rocket science. So we're going to give you some time to think, and if somebody could just, kind of be responsible for taking down a few ideas as far as the discussion, we'll save a few minutes and people can just kind of put them out there and talk about them as well, and then we'll close. And maybe Miss Julia will walk around.
Anything, sure.
Okay. Great,
Raise
thanks.
your hand if you need me.
Yes, I don't know.
Oh,